Welcome to the Chicago Bears Podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the designer.
Bear on, Bears fans. Welcome into another Monday edition of the Chicago Bears Podcast. It's me, it's Lance Briggs in the building, breaking down Bears football as we do every week. Lance, what's going on, baby?
Hey, feeling good out here. It's heating up in the desert, which means the weather should be getting beautiful in Chicago.
I wore this in to work today to walk into the studio from the train station. It was about 65 outside. Perfect temperature for walking. I ain't trying to have it too hot out here. I'm just not. Chicago weather get muggy. We get that muggy high. Yeah, I mean, it's not the dry heat. I ain't ready for that yet. I'm just trying to
Chicagoans, they don't waste good days. You know, if you know that it's going to be sunny out the next day, you're already prepping. Hey, listen, I know I've got my shorts. You know, I got my ice bucket. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to enjoy this day. You know?
Oh yeah. We're not wasting no days, man. Because listen, we don't know how long this is going to last every year. Basically, like sometime like last winter wasn't bad. Last winter, we in December getting like 50-degree days. All right, I'll take it.
Yes.
A couple winters before that, negative 55. So you never know. You got to take it in when you get it.
Correct. That is correct.
Hey, man, we got a lot to get to on the show today, Lance. We got to talk about Ryan Poles basically letting us know that he is looking to add a pass rusher to this team, somebody on the edge, talk about maybe some issues that some of the players might have coming into this system. Also want to get your thoughts on the schedule. Schedule dropped last week, and hear kind of what you were feeling when you saw it, your initial thoughts, and what it was like for you when you saw those schedules coming out, where some of your favorite places to play were. Listen, Ryan Poles said he was mad last season, too. We got to talk about that because the GM going off, does that inspire you guys? That fire you up? It didn't inspire last year's team. It didn't inspire last year's team.
We were all mad. We were all mad.
Yeah.
We were all upset for a lot of reasons last year. You know, and the thing is, listen, as upset as we were last year, we'd like to be less upset this year. If we're less upset, we're doing something right.
Hey, we're trying to flip the script out here. I have a set table at my house made for flipping just because I need to be able to get that aggression out.
Oh, are you like a Buffalo Bills fan? You drop off the top rope?
I'm not jumping through it, but I leave it sitting on the side of me just so I can flip it and feel good about. You know what I mean? Like, yes. Listen. I got a lot of aggression in me at times, Lance. I probably should have played football, but my shoulder wouldn't stay in socket. And then finally, the games we're most excited for coming into the season, all that more on today's episode of the Chicago Bears Podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe to the page, make sure that you're listening 5 days a week. Let's get into the first quarter, Lance. A lot of energy here this morning. I like this. Good Monday morning. Podcast out here getting quote tweeted by and written articles about over the weekend. You know what I'm saying? We coming in with a lot of energy here. Y'all love what you're seeing here. Let's get into this first quarter.
It's just the off season.
First quarter.
This is just
still the off season. Here's the part. This is the part that full disclosure, right? We gonna be open on this podcast. I'm a very open person. The part I'm most excited about is coming in on a Monday where somebody that played your position your entire life makes a mistake that you just looking at and you just lose it. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
That's the part I'm most excited about.
But, you know, in that same respect, you know, if the effort is there, you got to understand, if the effort is there, then the criticism to me is going to be at a minimum because, you know, every player has 100% control over that, over their attitude and their effort. So if it's there, you can make up for a lot, and some may not understand that.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting. I'm waiting for like that day. Wait, listen, it's a learning experience, right? But like Noah Sewell just don't get that tackle. Didn't run hard enough to, and Lance just come in here, flips the table. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm gonna ask for the table. I'm gonna say, listen, I need a table.
I will get you a custom table just for you that says flip on it. We got to make that happen. That's got to be a brand. Let's do it. Let's get into this, Lance. Ryan Poles talked about Friday that He's looking to add to this team. He understands what this team needs at pass rusher. He's hoping that something will happen sooner than later, which implies to me that at a minimum, he's looking to do something. And that gets me a little bit excited because I think there's a lot of good names at the edge rusher position out here. That's where everybody kind of is focusing in with him. For me, Yannick Ngakoue is my favorite.
Okay.
I love Yannick Ngakoue. I understand. And here's the thing. I had to go back because he's a weird one to me because I believe he's played for 5 teams in 6 seasons. And I was like, what's he just signing 1-year deals and he hates it here and he's just moving on? But realistically, right, he went to a team almost every time that they were like, hey, we have to kind of reset this thing and you're the best piece that we have to trade. So I believe he went from Oakland to Minnesota. I think he went from Minnesota to Indy. So like he's moved around out here. But I love him. I think he's a good name.
And fit wise, you said you talk about Minnesota and you talk about Indy. So you don't want to reach if you want to get a good pass rusher, and getting the right pass rusher is a guy that fits what we're doing and what we're doing on defense. He fits. So I like that pick. I like him adding him as a piece to our pass rush this year.
Another name that's been very intriguing because he was drafted here, right, is Leonard Floyd because of the numbers that he was able to put up out with the Rams and stuff like that. The question I want to ask you before, right, clearly you don't want him here, but how hard would it be for somebody basically to switch the style that they've played in their entire career? He's been a 3-4. He would have to come here and be a 4-3
guy. It can be. I mean, obviously, it can be done. I mean, if you're going from a 3-4 to a 4-3, you're gonna be putting your hand down. You're gonna move in a little bit, and all you're gonna do is, for the majority of the time, you're just gonna rush. So that's. I think the transition is a little harder going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, where you're a stand up. You haven't used to that, and you're playing in space a lot more from drops and this and that as a linebacker. Than vice versa. So, but and listen, Leonard Floyd, as a person, great guy, but I think he had his run here in Chicago, and I think he's a better fit somewhere else at this point.
I don't think I disagree with you. The only thing that makes me look at him is I know a lot of people are always like, he played with Aaron Donald. Of course he has 10 sacks. That's a crazy thing to say, by the way. Like, he played with Aaron Donald, so of course he has 10 sacks. But the thing to me is I saw him play with Khalil Mack. I saw him play with Akeem Hicks, and he had 3. So clearly he figured something out about his game that is helping him get to the quarterback as well. I do like it from that aspect, but I think there's a lot to come with that. Let me ask you this. When you see the options that are out there, right? Me and you talked about Chase Young on here. What would you rather see the Bears do? Because Yannick Ngakoue, to me, comes with a hefty price. You're probably going to end up overpaying to get him here as you do in free agency. But we have a ton of draft capital, and we could make a trade here for a guy. Would you rather see the Bears go trade, or would you rather see the Bears just sign a guy that's on the market, even if they have to overpay a little bit?
Sign a guy that's on the market. We're looking at Yannick. He's a guy that's been getting 1-year deals, and that's, if that's something that you can accomplish with him, then, we pay him. We pay him for this year, see how he goes, and kind of put a little bandage over that wound, and see what we can do. I'd rather do that than give away picks, future picks, because we're developing something here, and we're putting pieces together. And I'd like to continue to add those pieces either through the draft or in free agency next year with somebody that we're 100% sure going into it on. We went and got Nate Davis. We went and got Nate Davis, who we have thought really highly of, and had a big splash in free agency. So there's going to be a top pass rusher going into free agency next year. And if we have a lot of money in that bank, then we can splash right into that and start filling those voids.
Yeah, I think that, to me, I look at a Yannick Ngakoue situation, and the question I would ask you from the player perspective is, how is it viewed when a mercenary of sense, if you do sign him to a 1-year deal, comes in, right? A guy that he's not going to be a part of the family long. He's not going to be a part of the brotherhood long. That is the Chicago Bears. He'll be a part of the NFL brotherhood, of course, but like, how is that viewed in a locker room if you're just going out and getting a guy that just does one thing really well for one season?
I mean, you still build a relationship. I mean, you got to trust that guy on the field, and you got to trust him to do his job, and he has to trust you to do the same. So in that respect, there's been a lot of guys that have come in and have been journeymen and found a home, because they fit well. Let's see how he fits. If that's the case, and then we bring him in, let's see how he fits. If he fits well, who knows? Maybe that 1-year deal extends to gets an extension, and he plays longer, and that changes the approach to the next offseason. But it's always plug and play and see how it goes and see how everybody fits. We've got a lot of young guys that are coming in that are going to be competing. Everybody that was drafted is not going to make the team after that final cut. So let's, So let's put together the best Bears team we can for 2023.
I want to really see kind of what the flip side of that is too, right? Because I love that Ryan Poles is saying sooner than later he's going to go out and get a guy. That doesn't mean it's going to be one of the top guys, right? And so now the question for me is Trevis Gibson going to have that bounce back season? Is Dominique Robinson going to start to develop into that player that Ryan Poles drafted in the 6th round, I believe he was taken, right? And try to build him up a little bit more. I think that the easy Band-Aid, like you said, is to go out and just overpay the guy, slap that on there, and we got to listen. I'm for that. Like, listen, you bring me Yannick Ngakoue, I'm for that. But there is something to be said about continuing to develop the guys that you have in the building. And Trevis Gibson was a 7-sack guy 2 seasons ago, right?
Yep.
You're adding in DeMarcus Walker, who was a 7-sack guy last season, right? I'm really focusing in on what Flus can do and Alan Williams can do to get the most out of the guys that he already has on the roster.
Yeah. And if we're building something for the future, we have to find our core. With Walker and Robinson and Gibson, the hope is that we get some dominant play from them. We get dominant play, and you can just add pieces. You add an even more dominant player that we can start rotating, because defensively, you got a defensive line. You got to be able to rotate guys. You got to be able to rotate guys and not miss a beat most of the time. So with the guys that they added this off season and Gibson, the hope is that we continue to press forward. And whether it's Ngakoue, it's Leonard Floyd, or Chase Young, whoever it is, whether it's sooner or later, it might even be later. Just because he said sooner doesn't mean it's going to happen sooner. That's just the want. We have to take steps forward and not backward with whomever is out there. I can say that much.
How do you weigh who the development of guys like that is on, right? When you get a new staff in there, stuff like that. Does it fall on the coaches to get that guy to just understand that system? Because clearly, right, Trevis Gibson has the talent. We've seen him be a talented player. DeMarcus Walker, I think, he's more of an athlete maybe than he is the perfect defensive edge rusher right now. But I think that there is some talent there. How much do you put on the coach to get that out of the guy? How much do you put on the player to say, hey, this is your livelihood. You need to figure out whatever it takes to make this work?
Listen, we play in a production-based business. So where do we rank in run defense? Where do we rank in pass defense? Where do we rank on third downs? Where do we rank on taking the ball away? Where do we rank on quarterback pressures and sacks and getting to the quarterback? Those things, if we're ranked in the top 10 in those things, if we're ranked in the top 15 in those things in the NFL, then you're saying, all right, we're getting production out of our players. We're getting production out of our defensive line, our front four, and whatever calls that we're making. So it's not hard to figure out whether a guy is producing or not, and so you lock down those 5 things, you're going to stick here in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, especially on the defensive end. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie to you. I would love to see great offense here in Chicago. But it's just something naturally in me, dog. Like seeing somebody get laid out, seeing somebody get able to get back up, of course. You got to say that now in the modern NFL. Able to get back up, of course. But seeing somebody let the boom laid on them, seeing it, like the defense is, maybe it's just because it's all that we've had for most of the time. But like even our best offensive players, like they don't rank anywhere near as high outside of sweetness as you guys did on defense for us in Chicagoans' mind.
I mean, I don't know. We've had some pretty special offensive linemen. We've had some running backs run through here, you know. And,
that's true. Krutz is up there too. I ain't gonna lie.
Right. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, you know, if we get into a situation where we have an outstanding offense, and I'm sure we will, you know, I'm looking forward to having that. It's still going to come down to it's always still going to come down to, you know, how great your defense can be on that defensive side of the ball. Because if we get into a situation where we have to outscore each opponent, you cannot get consistency from that. You can never be consistent enough, you know, and it's extremely rare. I mean, even for the Kansas City Chiefs, they have situations where, you know, I mean, where they had, you know, in Mahomes' rookie campaign, you know, where they had an outstanding offense, you know, their defense sucked, you know, and so that cost them in the playoffs, you know, and so when you look at the years where the Chiefs, which is every year, they're in the playoffs or going to the Super Bowl, you know, they get good play from their defense. They make the plays that's necessary, especially down the stretch. So, you know, it's for us, maintaining a good defense while building a great offense is key.
How do you, as a former player, watch the modern era where it feels like, to me, looking at it, teams focus more on, okay, we need the defense to be a good enough defense, but we care more about being able to be great in certain situations than maybe playing a full game of just dominant defense. It seems like I see that a lot more with a lot of teams. The Kansas City Chiefs, to me, I think play really situational defense where I look at the defense and I'll be like, yeah, they're an okay defense. They're not one of the best in the NFL. They come out, they do some good things, but then like when it's crunch time, like all of a sudden all these dudes are awake and it's time to kill the quarterback.
Well, I mean, look, you got to find out, you got to figure out who they're facing too, you know, like, you know, there are no slouches in the NFL, you know, and where people would say, oh man, Jacksonville Jaguars, they're the doormat, you know, shoot, the Jacksonville Jaguars came out firing, you know, they're going to be one of the teams to beat this upcoming season. So, you know, it's again, you could have a situation where you know, Mahomes coming off a 6 touchdown game, you know, but you know, who they line up defensively the next week are some monsters across that offensive line. It could be lined up against Philly, you know, during the week, you know, and so, you know, just because of a crushing pass rush, you know, they limit what the Chiefs can do. And teams have done that to them. So, you know, it's I think mentality, if you're coached to think, you know, be a situational defense, then you're going to give up a lot. You know, if mentality wise, you are coached to be fundamentally sound and not give up an inch or a yard, then you're going to be a more dominant defense, you know, because the mentality is we got to get to the ball. We got to get to the ball now. We got to make a play. Somebody's got to make a play, you know, and when the opportunity arises, you got to stand tall.
Yeah, I think that's what the whole hits principle is trying to communicate. Because I mean, like, that's really what it is, right? The H is hustle. And I'll tell you what, like, I remember training camp last year, dudes was like, hey man, we running. Like, this man got us out there for real running out here.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be a track meet. You'll get all of your conditioning in practice. You don't need to run anything extra after practice. You'll get it all in. As long as you're all running to the ball on every play. That's a great habit.
Did you ever have that moment where you just realized you were in better condition than the other team the offense that you were playing against? Where you was like, oh, they can't keep up with us. They can't run with us.
Well, it wasn't. I think it was less thinking that, and it was more of, it was got to get to the ball. I got to get to the ball. Got to get to the ball. And because of the habits of in practice, it was as soon as that ball's thrown, boom, I got to go. I'm not thinking. I'm turning and running before I'm looking to see where the ball is, where it's landed. And the next thing I know, I'm always near the ball, or I'm always in a good position to make a big hit, push the ball out, something like that. Just because of the habit of as soon as that ball leaves that quarterback's hand, I'm already 100% or 100 miles an hour headed to the ball.
Y'all all just meet up, be like, "Hey, bro, how you get over here? You supposed to be back there?" Like,
mean, the thing you have to worry about, well, especially back then, you had to worry about, like, you play somebody like the Lions, is you'll get a Dominic Raiola who's going to clean you up. If you don't have your head on a swivel, I'll get to the ball first. But as soon as I get to the ball and I slow up, somebody is tagging me from behind. So it's that's one of the things you gotta be aware of. There's all kind of dangers.
Oh yeah, listen, and I'll tell you this: as we head into the second quarter, the Bears are gonna get to see a lot of them early. I looked at this schedule and I looked at what this Bears team could do versus this schedule. I said this on the pod Friday. I got excited when I saw how the schedule was laid out, because I was like, oh, we're going to know what this team is very early. And also we're going to know how much they can handle not being the underdogs every single week. Because there's a lot of teams on here that you look at and you're like, oh, they should be able to beat them. They should be able to beat them.
Yeah.
They probably going to lose to them. Week 3 versus the Chiefs. Or what was it? Week 3 versus the Chiefs. I'm like, that's probably done. I don't know about that. We'll see. Let's hope. We get them early. Maybe they're not ready. But what were your first thoughts when you looked at the schedule this season? What did you see? Did you get excited when you saw it? Do you like how it lays out for the Bears?
I love having the Packers week 1 to open the season. There's a lot of change happening, and to play the Packers for the opening game of the season, you got to be excited for that. Everybody's got to be up for that, and if there's a message that you want to send, that's the game you want to send it. So I love that. Obviously the team for us in the division to beat is going to be the Lions. They made some very good offseason moves, even from the weird Gibbs draft, but then trading away running back. So it's like, okay, I get it. But you look at the Broncos, the Raiders, the Saints, the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Falcons. You talk about beatable games or winnable games. Those from the outside looking in. Those are certainly games that the Bears have a great chance of winning. They come in and they play the right way. That week 3 against the Chiefs, that is I love that because it's a benchmark game. They come out and they win those first 2 games. They'll have momentum. They'll have a lot of momentum, and that changes that game from, I think it's a loss, to let's see what our Bears can get done.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. The second week scares me a little bit, because I think that's where you're going to get your biggest. Now it's the Buccaneers, right? And everybody's like, oh, Baker Mayfield. I'm not that worried about Baker Mayfield. The offensive line, it is what it is. I think they'll be a little bit better than people are estimating. But I'm not going to lie to you, though. Like, that defensive line, we're getting our young offensive linemen tested early in this season. I mean, you're still talking about Akeem Hicks being there. You're talking about JPP. You're talking about Kalijah Cansey being added. Vita Vea still on that line. Like, I looked at that and I was like, listen, that could get bad real quick for the offense.
If your approach is to say this is a team I'm not worried about, then you don't understand football. And for any of these games, because the moment you do that is the moment you're going to get beat. So and yes, that Tampa Bay defensive line is going to be humming. It's going to be a great, but it's a great test. And there's things that they'll be able to see. The Bears are going to be able to take from that week 1 and watching how that Tampa Bay defensive line, how they produce. The other thing too is making sure that they come in that thing healthy. It's week 2. Everybody should be healthy, but there's going to be some telltale things about how they're pressuring or getting to the quarterback or how they're stopping the run if they're doing it well.
Yeah, no, 100%. How important, I've said this to me, I think the Packers game week 1 is one of the most important games on this schedule because I think that getting it done versus your rival, even if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, right, you're still, like, this will be a win week 1 versus the Green Bay Packers if you can pull it off, right? Like, how important is getting the win to set the tone for the season, even if it is just week 1?
You got the Packers. You got the NFC North division. You can start off the year in first place and beating the Packers. I can't think of a better situation to be in, and even leading up to it, from now that we know who it is, who's going to be, there's a lot of excitement got to be for every one of those Bears and Bear fans that we have a chance and we have a chance not only to come out and make a statement, but we have a chance to get up and get ahead in the division right now. So I really love that as the first or the opening to the season. I think there's going to be so much buildup for Chicago because right now is the time of change, and if it's going to happen, this is the step toward that happening. Rodgers is gone. Fields. We want Fields to take steps in the right direction toward helping us win a championship, and those steps happen. It starts with the Packers week 1.
Were you more on the side of you wanted the Bears to finally overcome the Packers while Aaron Rodgers were there, or were you just glad to see 12 get up out of the division?
I mean, of course, I wanted it to happen while he was there. Shoot, I played against the guy. But now that he's gone,
don't look so stressed, Lance. Don't look so stressed after I bring up 12.
Listen, man, we were very close to getting back to the Super Bowl, man. And had to play against that guy. But I wish him luck in New York. He's in the AFC now. So the only time we'll see him is an off chance of playing the Jets or in the Super Bowl.
Oh my God! Could you imagine if we meet the Jets in the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl, right?
Oh my God! No,
it's a great setup.
I don't know if I want that. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's a good storyline. It's a good storyline, but you can't.
But as a Bear fan, there's too much history there. There's too much history as a Bear fan,
and that's the time. That would be. I will say this. That would be the perfect scenario to shut every Packer fan up or Rodgers fan up for the rest of our life. Be like, yeah, he beat us all that time, and then we beat him in the Super Bowl.
Okay, so what if he? Okay, so this is a crazy storyline. Okay. What if he plays 2 years for the Jets? Yeah, comes back to the NFC North to the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay,
the same exact path.
Listen. Now he just what they call that? He just paying homage to Brett. Yeah, you know what I mean, on the field. Hopefully not off the field. On the field, right? He just paying homage to Brett at that point because there's no what I think the thing is, right, with Brett, he wanted to go to Minnesota first, right, and then they ended up trading him to the Jets because they were like, we're not sending you to Minnesota.
Right, and it was in the division. We're not sending you to somebody else within the division. Absolutely. And then he was done, and they flew to Mississippi and said, "Listen, we'll give you $26 million. You come play for us."
Hey, listen, that's my favorite thing. Like, I think there is a certain level of right. There's integrity. I'm always going to be this. There's always this. Right. Like, I could never imagine you ever putting on green and yellow to play for the Packers. But when I heard Rondo was talking about being a Boston Celtic, and Muzz was like, why didn't you have integrity and not go play for the Lakers? He said, the Lakers offered me money. The Celtics didn't. It's like, well,
simple. It's very simple, and that's at the end of the doggone day, man. When somebody says, hey, listen, we'll give you this. It's a can't say no situation. Yeah. Everybody's gonna walk. Everybody's gonna walk. You know what I mean? Everybody's gonna walk and say, okay, we gotta do now.
especially with the money that they be throwing around now. Though. They be
Right.
like, hey man, it was like who did we bring back? Oh, Jason Peters. When Jason Peters was on his fishing boat, and the Bears sat there. What we paying? I think we paid him $10 million or something like that to come back. It was like, yeah, I ain't did training camp. Yeah, I see y'all week 1.
Pat, listen, right now, if the Green Bay Packers offer you $10 million to do the home of the Green Bay Packers podcast,
God.
you're gonna take that hat off. You're gonna take that hat off, and you're gonna put on the green and yellow, and you're gonna say, "Hey guys, welcome to the home of the Wisconsin Green Bay Packers podcast."
No, I wouldn't, Lance, because I have integrity. I would not. Y'all call it. Y'all gonna call. You know what I mean? Put the money. I have integrity. I will stand bear down till I die. I mean,
yes. If that offer is still good,
y'all put that call in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh God, let's get to halftime, man. For y'all out here turning me into that'll be crazy. Let's not even bring that up. Let's not even bring that up. Let's not even bring it up. That's what the players out here doing. As we get to halftime, Lance, anything that you want to put out there, anything that you want to promote, anything that just caught your eye throughout over the weekend that you want to put on the show, man. Courtney brought up NBA last time here, so we could do anything. Halftime is a great time.
No, you know what? Hopefully all the mothers in the world had a good Mother's Day. You know, what a special day. And other than that, that was it, man. You know, my weekends are full of sports, man. My kids are all over the place, so it's fun.
That's all right. You didn't get to see Joel Embiid crap the bed and then blame his teammates for it. Have y'all ever had something like that, dog? Like this man got on the post-game press conference and said, everybody else has to do better. It can't be just me and James out here trying to win. Have y'all ever had somebody say, how would y'all deal with that in the locker room after he gets back there? I don't care if he is the number one option on the team.
It's, you know, interesting enough. Now, this does bring up a moment that I brought both of my sons, you know, together and had to explain to them. I said, listen, and I want you guys to listen very closely. I said, in a win, you celebrate your teammates. I said, in a loss, you figure out what you can do better to help your team. And it just, the 76ers deal had happened, but it was a deal where I didn't get to see. I was at my youngest son's baseball game. My oldest son was playing basketball. So if they win that game, they go to the championship. So when I got to the arena, I see his teammates walking out. I'm like, you guys lost? You know, and the first thing that him and my nephew, they said, well, the other guys were missing their shots. I said, whoa. I said, I asked you what happened, and the first thing you did was talk about somebody else. You know, I need to know what you did and what you can do to help them win a championship or do better for the next opportunity. So it was a teachable moment. It's very teachable.
Yeah, no. I mean, and it's I don't know. I don't sit there and hold on to a lot of the like old school thoughts about like you have to have the integrity in sports and do this and don't have fun and blah blah. But like the simple things of like I just take it into like a personal thing. Like if I rock with you, if I'm riding with you, you know, and we didn't been to war together, we didn't did all these battles and stuff like that. Why would I throw you under the bus? Why would I blame you? Like it didn't even sit right with me when I saw him in the post-game presser, just like, you know, everybody else got to do. And we know he's talking about, right, Tyrese Maxey.
Right. And the thing is all of that stuff can be addressed in your locker room. All of that stuff can be addressed. You know, I mean, you're probably addressing it during the game with your teammates. Yeah. You know, but the throwing the teammate under the bus in front of the eyes of the world, I just think it's a little low. You don't have to go that route.
What would you and Olin have done when he got back to the locker room?
Embiid? Yeah. No, I mean, listen, That's the way, that's your outlook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other thing you do is you put your brothers against the wall when we get questioned and they say Joel Embiid said everybody else has to do their job. Now I have to respond to him responding. So it's one of those deals.
Creates further division.
Yeah, it creates further division. But and a lot of us are trying to have to clean up what you said. Listen, I don't know. I can't speak for Joel Embiid. It's one of those. I can't speak for him, but I can tell you what I did. And that's one of those deals. Shoot, they lean on me. They lean on me to put 24 points up each game. And I put up 17. So I was under my mark. So how can we win if I'm under my mark? And this is a championship, one of those championship type situations.
Yeah. Hey,
that's
that's the mindset right there. I like that mindset a lot better than what I heard last night. I hate that.
Right.
Third quarter.
Let's keep it going in talking about mindset, man, because Eric brought this point to me. I had to go do some research on this one because Ryan Poles was talking about how last season, as we get to the third quarter, all that good stuff. Ryan Poles was talking about how he was walking around after losses and a lot of stuff might have gotten broken in his fury after that. What does that show you about who Ryan Poles is with this Bears team? Because we've heard about, right? Like I see a lot of guys that do the showman effort of like, oh, I'm sick of this, and like kicks a trash can halfway across the room. And it's like, hey man, like you sick of it. Like, let's get better out here. You know what I mean? But what does that tell you about what his real mindset is on this team and how he feels about being the Bears GM?
That he destroys stuff when we lose.
Yeah.
I mean, that don't really move me at all. You know what I mean? We're all upset. We all have different ways of showing our distaste for losing. He shows it. Apparently, he shows it by destroying things. I've always been a pretty sore loser, so I'm one of those irritable people to be around. After a loss, a lot of people don't want to be around me. And that's why dogs and kids are the most wonderful things in the world. They're the one thing in the world that can certainly change your mind. Dogs do not care whether you won or lost. And if you got some young kids, they don't care either. They do not care because all they know is that their dad is home or they get to see their dad. Mm-hmm. They want to play something. So, yeah.
So when you were in the locker room, right? If Ryan Poles comes in, he's kicking trash cans, upset. You just looking at him with the side eye, like, "What are you doing, dog?"
I'm not paying any attention. I'm not paying any attention to any of that noise. Like I was on the football field fighting. If I'm on the football field fighting, then I don't need anybody that's all the way up in the sky. That's up in the stands coming down, kicking cans. That's more of an act than the real tough guy.
I don't know if he was in the locker room kicking cans, stuff like that, but I like the fact that he is upset, even in the sense of what they did last season at how the Bears are losing. I think that it does show a little bit of you still being, it shows me fandom, right? From the fan perspective, it shows me fandom. Like I said, I'm the guy that flips the table. I'm pretty sure I have 2 or 3 YouTube videos flipping stuff, watching the Bears. They're all watching the Bears, by the way. Every single time is me reacting to something that the Bears do. But from the fan perspective, I feel like I can understand that a little bit more.
Well, I think for Ryan Poles, what's more important than any kicking of the cans of any of that nature, tearing down jerseys or whatever, statues, is being available for the media. It's one of those things that Pace did not do. And it was one of the worst parts of that his era. Is we could never get an explanation or a comment about what's the state of our Bears from the GM, and so just having a GM that's in my, man enough to say, hey, this is what's going on. These are decisions that I made, Matt made, and this is what we're doing, and this is where we go from here. The state of the Bears is really important, and having a guy that pulls the trigger on the personnel is, that's a vital part of us getting an explanation for things, or getting an answer, or at least getting an answer.
And here's the part, right? Like to that point, the part that to me was the biggest thing was, right, like in the second half of the season, while we were losing, right, we were upset, but you almost, right, as a fan, you felt better because you were like, okay, I'm seeing Justin do things. I'm seeing how he's playing. I'm seeing how he's starting to understand defenses. I'm seeing how the offense is starting to come together. And when Ryan Poles spoke, Ryan Poles was like, yeah, that's nice. We lost. It's not acceptable. And it's so right. like the fact that it's like you're not giving them the what do people call it? The participation trophy. Good job.
Correct.
You gave a great effort in that game. The fact that he didn't give them that, right? He was like, listen, we like the improvement. He finished the season saying we like the step that Justin took. He needs to take a bigger one. He needs to become a better passer. I love
that. Yeah. We're not going to pat people on the back. I know I ironically said that, Pat, but we're not going to pat people on the right. But you're right. The participation trophies are out the door. We're not just going to pat people on the back for doing a few good things. We need you to do a lot of good things, and we know you're capable of it. And so the standard has to be set. And once we start aiming or start getting closer to that standard, then you'll start to hear more pats on the back.
What gives me confidence with that too is that, like it makes me feel like winning is above everything else. So the hardest part of this to me for a GM, I would think, would be, right, like you have a lot of relationships built with these people, and there's probably a lot of people you let walk out the door that you built up relationships with, that you've moved on from, stuff like that. So like I think that my biggest issue always with Ryan Pace was not the fact that he swung and missed on Matt Nagy, because Matt Nagy, the year that he was hired, was the hottest name in football, and we got him. So I was like, okay, you swung him in. The problem that I had was you saw everything that went on in that locker room. You saw now the stories that have come out, right? So you saw him firsthand about how he wasn't helping Mitch to improve, the quarterback that you selected second overall. You saw all of these things that weren't leading your team in the right direction, and yet you stuck with him till the end. Yep. That was always my problem. It feels to me like Ryan Poles is making decisions on, listen, like you said, it's a production-based business. You better win.
Yeah. But at the same time, listen, we have to surround you with players that can allow you to do that, to allow you to reach those heights. It's very difficult to get to where you want to go, and there's a lot of question marks, a lot of holes that you're surrounded by. There's question marks on the guys that you get to throw the ball to. There's question marks on the protection that you need in order to get it to the playmakers. And there's question marks on the defensive side to help get you the ball back. So all of that has been recognized, and all of that is a process. It's a work in progress, and that's what's happening. We're all a lot more hopeful this year than we were last year, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. But I know, in my opinion, we take a step forward this year.
You're talking about taking a step forward. Let's jump into the fourth quarter here, because
fourth quarter.
When I'm looking at what a step forward is for me, fourth quarter, when I'm looking at what a step forward is for me, crunch time. That's what I do when I lift. I'm not going to lie. Whenever the rep get hard, I do that line from Remember the Titans, where Denzel was in the old boy ear with the whistle. He's like, fourth quarter. I do that every time. I mean, like, I ain't gonna finish the rep without Denzel. Denzel Washington's in my head when I lift. Is that
in
weird?
Your head?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
That's a thing. Hey, listen, that's a thing. There's a lot of people that have been in my ear, but knowing that Denzel Washington is in your ear in the tough times. That's good. Is he in your ear for anything? Is he in your ear for dinner? Like when you got one more bite? Fourth quarter now.
No, you know what it is? It's when I get to the point where it's like, I'm kind of done with this. Like, I don't really need to. Like, do I really need to be in better shape? Do I really need to eat healthier? That's when I hear Denzel the most in my life. Hey, but
that's a strong voice.
A strong voice, you know what I'm saying? Who's the coach you hear? Who's the coach you still hear in your head? when you lifting or when you going through your day to day?
I don't necessarily hear any of the coaches, but
No,
I hear
I'm
all
a
of my
weirdo.
coaches. I hear all of my coaches when I'm coaching kids. I hear there's a piece of all the coaches when I'm coaching these kids out here, man, and it's funny. I'll talk to some of them and say, guess what I did today? Guess how I handled this situation.
You,
I asked my players. I asked them if they ran to the ball. They said no. I said, well, you're wrong. All right, if you're not running the ball, you're wrong.
You thought, gosh darn it, out there. You just hear Lovey all of a sudden.
All the time. Yep.
Oh man, as we look at this fourth quarter, though, Lance, looking at taking a step forward, what does taking a step forward for you look like based on what this schedule looks like? I said that the Bears, to me, their floor should be 7 wins. I think that I can see 10 games that they can win. I don't know if they will win all of those, but to me, at a minimum, we should be talking about a 7-win team taking a step forward. What is your step forward for the Bears this season?
My step forward for the Bears is offensively, not even offensively, as a team, winning games as you designed them to be. Not winning off of a fluke fumble or just a situational play. Like we lucked into this score. We kept it close. It's winning decisively. It's imposing our will on teams. And having 4 or 5 of those kind of games is a step forward. Rather than, man, these Bears have been hanging around and they won. They were hanging around for long enough. This team made so many mistakes that the Bears were able to overtake them, into the fourth quarter. Those aren't the games that I'm looking for. Well, I'll take a win, however we can get it, but I want the decisive wins.
How long is the game plan still in effect? Like the plan y'all plan out all week, right? Like, is it right? Like, is there a point in the game where you're like, all right, now like we're still going through what we do best, but we're trying to adjust to something we didn't expect to happen here? Or is it all 4 quarters you knew what was coming and you're just trying to execute what you went through in practice?
Well, it depends on your opponent. There are opponents that you'll play against. They throw for 600 yards. They run for 48, 60 yards. In that type of game, you want to force them to run. There are games where they run for 300 plus yards. They throw for 175 yards. That's kind of like the Bears last year, but it's and in that case, you want to stack the box. You want to force them to throw. You want to take away their weaknesses or take away their strengths and expose their weaknesses. So each day, if you go against a balanced offense, they do things well against the pass, do things well against the run. That keeps you at home defensively. Those are the harder teams to play. And so strategy wise, when your offense comes in, they have their first 15 plays scripted. They want to see what they can do. They're probably going to attack whatever worked the week before. They're going to have a little bit of that in there. They're going to have how we think that we can beat this defense, and whatever works is where that playbook is going to lean toward after the script is over. If nothing works, that's where it gets tough for the offensive coordinators, where they've shut down all 15 of our script plays. Now we have to go back to what I know the best, which is if I'm a running guy, we're gonna get our runs in and see if we can move this ball. If I'm a pass guy, we're gonna pass this ball and hopefully we don't turn the ball over. So there's a lot that goes into play and goes into thought of these decisions that are made in the NFL.
What's that do to the confidence on the defensive end when y'all get through? Are you going up against a good offense? They go through their 15 plays and they got 7 yards.
Oh man, I'm telling you right now, shoot, it's over. We're gonna do this all day. And it's the best thing about that though is when you've done your scouting report and you see certain formations and you start calling out, and I'll see some of these guys in the offseason and they're like, I'm tight. I hear Briggs talking and calling out the route that I'm about to run. That is that's just doing your homework and understanding how this team's going to try to attack you. We could, you always look for 100% key. It's rare that you find one, but when you find one, and back in the day when Adrian Peterson was at tailback, it was 100% run. It was either 100% run or he was blocking as a back. And so when he got in, I know let's load the box. Let's load the box and let's attack.
Yeah, it's always funny when I see those highlights, right? Or like when Cam Newton, I forget who he was going up against, but he like the linebacker calls out the play and he just looks at it and he's like, "Oh, you've been watching tape, huh?" Yeah, me too. Watch this, and he changes the play. Like it's so I love those moments so much because it's like it shows you how much like the amount of studying you have to do to know just because a guy turns his hand a certain way, he's going to do this. Or just because a guy separates his hand a certain, he's going to do this.
But it's also part of the amount of fundamentals that you go over all day after day and repetition after repetition after repetition. They're going to attack you based off of what they see. They're trying to take away something that they think that they can get away from you or you're going to give them. So naturally, this is a drop that I make all the time. I always look this way. I'm always about 5 yards. This is how they're going to try to play you based off of your fundamental, and so that's where it all kind of makes sense when you're talking about, hey, did you make this move or that move, or you watch film, I watch film. Yep. Yeah. So let's see. All right, now it's a game of chess. Who's making the right move?
Who's making the best move? Was there a game you had where you picked up on somebody's tail and you killed them all day?
Listen, I'm gonna mention the Cowboys, baby. I'm gonna mention the Cowboys.
Here we go. Hold up.
Listen, the Cowboys. Tony Romo, he had a call, something like kill, and that meant that was a check from pass to a run, and I saw it happen. He gave the ball to Marion Barber, R.I.P. my guy. But he gave the ball to Marion Barber. He did it 2 times, and then the third time, we were on the sideline, and I told Lack, I said, listen, if this guy says kill again, I'm gone. Right? And so we're in cover 2, and he yells, he goes, Tony Romo's looking around, he goes, kill. I said, I tapped Lack. I said, I'm gone. He said, all right, you better be right. He said, you better be right. Man, I shot that gap. By the time he handed the ball to Marion Barber, I was on him for a 5-yard loss, and we're celebrating. Oh yeah, you do it, So it's it's just you gotta pay attention. You gotta pay attention.
Did they keep running that same call? They changed that after that play.
I don't remember hearing another kill because he didn't see me blitz again.
They said Lance got back here quick. How do you know? We had no answers on that. Oh, man, let's close it out with this one, man. What is the game on the schedule that you're most excited to see this Bears team play?
Ooh, look, I hate to skip the Packers because it's such a big game and it's week 1.
Yeah.
But the Lions, if the Lions are if the Lions are what they were last year and better, that is the team to beat. And I want us to be in a position to say that we're competing with for first place. We're either competing for first place or we're decisively in first place. And I believe that the Lions right now are before we see any play, run, anything like that, the Lions are the team to beat in the North.
Vikings take a step back in your mind.
I think the Vikings they underperform.
A lot of one-win games. A lot of one-score, last-minute win games in there.
Yeah. I've seen what I would say too many stacked Minnesota teams that underperformed. That they have a lot of these players. It's just true, man. They have a lot of these players that are primetime guys, and they get outplayed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they basically just said, AP, it's your team, and we'll try and figure the rest out sometimes. But yeah, I think that's That's interesting. Lions, I can see, I guess I can see that. I don't feel like there's going to be this great leap in wins, though, right? Like, I can see the Lions winning 9 or 10 games and still having a good season, making the playoff, stuff like that. So I think that the Bears will be in the hunt. I think they will be competitive. And I get that is a game I'm excited for. Mostly, I'm not gonna lie, mostly because I want to see what Monty do going against us. I want to be like, all right, like to me, that's the game. If you can stop the dude that's coming in with a chip on his shoulder, and I'm in Ross St. Brown talk trash about Bears fans out here. I mean, you gotta show out.
It's all right. Listen, that just gets the emotions high, man. You need that in this game. You know what I mean? You need the trash talk. You need the guys that leave a bad taste. You know, that leave a bad taste in your emotions. And so, and for that makes beating them even greater. You know what I mean? And I love Monty. Wish he was here. He was one of my favorite Bears. But now we got to beat you.
Now we go we get 6'2", Roshan Johnson and Khalil Herbert, the speedster, and Deontay Foreman, the speedster. I still love our running back. I'm gonna miss you, Monty. I am, but I still love our running back.
We're solid. We're solid right now. We're solid. You know,
it's one of them. It's like we good over here. We still good over here. Don't worry about that. As always, man, appreciate you guys for tuning in, showing love. You guys have supported the pod so well, man. Hit that like button. Drop a bear down if you made it to the end of the podcast, man. Let us know that you've been here. Drop a bear down if you started at the beginning. I don't care. Drop bear down. It's what we do. Follow us on everything at ESPN Chicago, and make sure you're listening in on the ESPN Chicago app. As always, it's your boy Pat the Designer, joined by Lance Briggs, dominating the podcast game just like he dominated the field out here, man. Stop playing with him. There's no kill over here. He blitzing the gap out here. I gotta find that play. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like somebody died on that play. Hey, follow us on everything, man. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. Peace.
Bear down, baby.